You remember before the season what Kyrie Irving felt about the Celtics and his future with that team? He was very confident. You know, he filmed that commercial with his dad, hooping in the gym, TD Garden. Well, it seems like things have changed a little bit. We've got a friend of the show, Jackie MacMullan, on the Hoop Collective podcast, speaking on Kyrie's experience in Boston. Let's listen.
The part of the thing was Kyrie Irving didn't like Boston. I've been told this by many people. He didn't like living in Boston. He just didn't. You know, by the end, he had issues with Brad. By the end, he had issues with Danny. By the end, he had issues with pretty much all of us.
What do you think about Kyrie's experience in Boston?
To me, it's more, and plus she's there every day. Jackie Mac is a legend. It sounds to me more like he didn't like playing for the Celtics. The one thing that gets overlooked as it relates to professional athletes and the type of money that's being generated is that the team that you play for, you're only there 6 months a year. You're only there 50% of the time because the other half of the games are on the road.
Yep.
So this idea that my life is going to be dramatically different in one place or another really gets overblown a lot. The bottom line is he seemed to be a disgruntled player the entire season about the entire situation. The expectations were so very high. His teammates were walking around enthusiastic about what they accomplished without him the year before. You enter he and Gordon Hayward back into the scenario, and he looking at them like, whoa, pump the brakes. Like, we ain't did nothing yet. And they was like, well, we did do something. We made it to the conference finals. And y'all should put us over the top.
Yes.
And it didn't happen. So that created a level of frustration with Brad, with the younger players, and now he's not even returning the Celtics calls, basically.
Well, when you look at Kyrie Irving and his free agency decision and what's happened there, do you think the sort of way it ended in Cleveland and the way it seems like it's definitely going to end in Boston would give you pause if you're going to sign him as a free agent? Because it would for me.
No, because he's still a dynamic player. He's still an all-NBA performer. And if I'm the Nets or the Knicks, I take him with or without KD. I know a lot of people are questioning whether they should based on, what people perceived as his lack of leadership in Boston. But he can be the best player or one of the without being the leader. The media so many times anoints that guy to be the best, to be the best player, to be the leader, when that's not necessarily the case when you talk about the dynamics of a locker room. Now, I was disappointed that the Celtics didn't meet their expectations. But let's not get it twisted. There are a tier of free agents. You got Kawhi, you got KD. Those are the two guys that you can sign and make you a contender instantly. Right under that tier is Kyrie Irving, is Klay Thompson. And so if you got a chance to get a player like that, you do it.
Well, you bring about his leadership, right? Because it felt like when he was in Cleveland, there was part of it that he kind of felt like LeBron might leave, so he didn't want to get tied up on a team after LeBron was there. But there was also part of it where he wanted his own team, right? So it seems like he wanted to be a leader. Do you question his leadership abilities? I mean, obviously we're not in the locker room, but you know things.
So again, it's not having your own team and being a leader is two different things. And imagine if he and KD both team up, two guys that we've seen be unhappy with how they're being perceived and unhappy with how they're covered, that type of thing. But he's still a dynamic player. Won a championship in Cleveland, and he been out there and understands that the grass isn't always greener. And yeah, you didn't want to be quote unquote little brother to LeBron in Cleveland, and you didn't want to get caught up in the fact that whether he was staying or going and affect your future. But now that he went to Boston, and by the way, think about it. This time last year, while we're talking about LeBron having a movie, Kyrie had a movie.
He did.
I remember sitting in this theater watching it with my daughters. And then he go play a disastrous overall, not meeting expectations, unhappy year in Boston. And now all of a sudden he's a free agent again. So for Kyrie, I think he'll be choosing happiness. And then that will take care of the wins and not necessarily worried about whose team it is.
Well, Jackie Mac said that about how Kyrie felt about the front office and Brad, media. Well, Danny Ainge he didn't say Kyrie's name, but if you listen to what he says through the lens of Kyrie and his experience there, it seems like he sneak dissing him. Let's listen.
I think it just makes life more enjoyable when everybody is humble, hardworking, and will play any role that they have to help a team succeed. You do have to have a certain amount of talent to win in our league, as we all know. But good people makes coming to work more fun.
Humble, hardworking, good people.
Does he sneak this in?
Coming to job more fun. Yeah. But he's a champion as a player, champion as an executive. Put the big three together. Shout out to Kevin McHale, his teammate, who helped make that happen with KG. But he understands the dynamics of a locker room can be really fragile because the most talented team doesn't always win. Mm-hmm. The Toronto Raptors just won the championship without a lottery pick on their roster. And so we get looking at the draft and thinking, oh, if you got that lottery pick, then you have what it takes to get a game-changing player. And then you look at somebody like the Joker, who got taken late in the second round by the Nuggets.
Yep.
So I agree with Danny. It's about chemistry, people working hard, pulling for one another, being willing to sacrifice their roles for the greater good of the team. And with Kyrie Irving a part of it, that clearly didn't happen.
But let me just amend something that he said. Good people makes coming to work more fun. Sure, great. Good players make you win games. You know what's more fun than being around good people? Winning games. Like, doesn't just winning make it more fun? Like, at the end of the day, like, you always say winning is the best deodorant. Like, we talk about team chemistry in the locker room, and we're talking about leadership in the Celtics. Do you know what they did? They went on some losing streaks, and that can sort of amplify those kind of negative aspects.
Well, that's what happens when you don't meet your goals. That's all that takes place. Look at Shaq and Kobe. They won 3 straight championships, and then you look up and they weren't playing together anymore. Mm-hmm. How about that? And so the dynamics can be so very fragile when you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports analysis and highlights, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.